Hi, how are you? Yes. Hi, Assalamualaikum, and good to see you again today. I'm very sorry that there is a bit of delay, about 15 minutes delay, because I was having difficulty with the internet. Somehow it's a bit windy, and therefore, as usual, when it's very windy, the internet is really not strong. The reception is not really not strong. So today I am at the Samarahan Golf Club, which is uh, next to Unimas. In fact, the compound of the golf club is just like inside Unimas itself. We can cross to the club from Unimas. Okay, and that's how it looks this afternoon. Not many people are playing. Probably people are still at work. Normally on the weekend we would get to see many people at the golf club. Okay, so as promised, today is the day for the English version of Living Big and how to use our psychology resources to live big. So, in last episode, day before yesterday, I shared about what life is all about, the psychological process of life that we all go through, and how understanding those stages of growth from childhood to deathbed could actually help us maneuver through our life more peacefully, more bravely, more confidently, having recognized that those stages, it doesn't matter the kind of crisis we are confronted with, pain or pleasure, we all know that the purpose is always growth. The purpose is always improvisation, whether in terms of thinking, life purpose, habits, characters, the way we cope with emotions, our coping skills, or even the way we strategize our actions to realize our life to the best of our potentials and talents, in a way blessed and blessed by God. Okay, so today I would like to share about what is it? What is this living big all about? Um, I'll try to cite examples, real examples that is easy for you to relate while explaining it using some psychological concepts that we all know that have been proven scientifically, that have been there in the psychology textbook. So, probably some of the examples that you hear from me may not be there in the textbook, but this is what we do in psychology. We take the models and the theories in those psychological research and we apply it, we test it on the ground in the real life, and we see how it works. And what I do in my FB life is sharing what we know, sharing what has been in the collection of the scientists, of the researchers in psychology, and that's all. So I cannot discuss religion, I cannot discuss faith, I cannot discuss any other any other constructs or any other issues which is not studied by psychology. Things like mystics, metaphysics, all those things, because we don't study, we don't research. It cannot be scientifically researched for now. And therefore, I definitely am not the person to explain what is outside what we know in psychology. Okay, so when we discuss about living big, what does it mean to live big? Allow me to share, to refresh again about the nature of life. If we really understand the nature of life and how big it is not easy to give up hope of this life. It is difficult to feel useless. It is difficult to feel hopeless. Doesn't matter come what may. It could be death of our spouse. It could be death of our parents. It could be some glass ceiling at work. It could be some stucking up in our career. It could be loss, big loss of profit, big loss of money in business. It could be losing business itself. Come what may, if we understand how the nature of life revolves and evolves, we will understand it is not easy to give up. It is difficult to feel useless, and it is difficult to feel hopeless. So any religion in this world, any faith in this world, believe that the Creator is generous. So the Creator therefore builds this life with the concept of generosity. Come what may, it could be some forms of what we like, such as happiness or achievement or profits or some promotion at work, good sales, good deeds, or it may come in the form of conflicts, pain, fear, things that we don't like. But the outcomes of these, either pain or pleasure or fear, they are always, the outcome is growth. And how does growth happen? As a result of whatever we face, whatever we confront, whether it's pain or pleasure. The results come by way of continuity of life, or multiplication, or compounding effect. Now let me explain one by one after another. So number one, we go for life functions by continuity. So this life functions by continuity. Some species extinct, say for example dinosaurs, extinct about 65 million years ago, but soon the world was replaced by other animals, which are smaller but more in volume. Lizards, alligators, and so on. And even when we die, another example, when we die, our work continues via the legacy that we live in this world. It could be via the company that we have built, by the businesses that we have built that someone else take over, or it could be some community work, or it could be merely good work, good parenting that we pass on to our children, that they become fabulously, amazingly human beings. As simple as that. So life doesn't stop until the doomsday. Life sustains until God says, okay, life got to stop. Okay, so that is about life functions by continuity. Now, what about the second one, when we say life multiplies? Life functions by multiplication. When we say multiplication, it means that it gets bigger, it gets more. Whatever we do, it impacts more people. And this is true not just in human beings, this is also true in plants. Plants multiply. We can multiply plants by way of seeds, cuttings, root divisions, and even layering. When you want to plant roses, for example, you go by cutting. You want to plant some fruits, say for example papaya, you go by seeds. And what about cells in the body? Cells in the body, cells in the plants. Cells in human beings, for example, multiply via cell dividing process, meiosis and mitosis. Now humans and animals multiplies via reproduction functions. Human population grows every day. This year, 2020, we have about 7.8 billion people on Earth. And 10 years ago, we had 6 billion, and 20 years ago, we had 5 billion. So, life functions by multiplication. Apart from the fact that life continues to grow, it also grows in multiplication. So how about our psyche? Just now we talked about the physics, existence, the body, the biology. In terms of psychology, we talk about the processes that happen inside us. So say for example pain, these sufferings, these confusions that we all have every day in our life. How do pain, sufferings, confusions can mean growth? Now, if you ever heard this statement, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, that is true, even psychologically. So psychological immunity is as good as physical immunity. It is meant to multiply our internal strengths. So what is successfully coped with will just add in more resilience in our psyche. take, for example, pain and sufferings. First time pain is painful, whatever pain it is, a pain of some losses, either losing a friend, someone dear to us, or losing some of our possessions that we love so much. But if it happens again, we somehow feel like, oh, okay, I've had it before. It's happened before. So it is not that painful. And in fact, we learn more about how to actually effectively cope with it and thrive on it. So measles, for example, when we were younger, now measles no more. So not just our physical body, but our psyche, our psychological form also gets more resilient over time, over test, over crisis, over pain, over pleasure. And take another example. Say, for example, confusion. So confusions, when we have crisis, we normally feel confused. Say, for example, suddenly we lose interest in our job, or we lose interest in our life, or we lose interest in our hobbies that were used to be very meaningful, very refreshing, now no more. Or we lose interest in our spouse, or we lose interest in our career. And so when this happened, we confronted with confusion. We feel very confused. But hey, what is that purpose of confusion? Any confusions that we process, we come to terms with it, we face it, and we find out how to solve it, how to resolve it. Now, the outcome is clarity. Any confusion that is well resolved will produce clarity. Clarity means very clear of what to do next. But why are we confused at certain juncture in our life? Confused which career to pick, confused with decision to make. Because confusion is a process of coping. We learn how to process confusion, and soon we get clarity. And clarity is important at any stage of life, especially in adult's world where we all resume freedom of choice. We choose how to live. And a lot of responsibilities. Clarity is especially clarity as to what our strengths are, what our potentials are, that we could use to make a better living and a bigger living. So again, is another example of multiplication, how even problems and crises can actually get us to grow bigger and bigger in terms of our life. Now, the third nature of life as a human beings is the compounding effects. Our thoughts and behavior have compounding effect on ourselves and also on others. Our words have effects on our self-esteem. What we say to ourselves, say if you say, I know I can do this, then it will influence how you feel. You feel more confident. But if you say, please God, I can't do this, I can't do this. Self-talk is important because self-talk is about what you feed into your belief system towards yourself. Now, our words also have impact on other people's self-esteem, depending on how influential we are on them. The more influential we are, then the more our words impact on those people who are listening to us, who are talking to us, who we are talking to. Say, for example, our words that we use on our children or to our children when talking to them have impact on the way they perceive and accept themselves. We call this self-concept. So how we all see ourselves is self-concept. Our perception towards ourselves and our perception towards ourselves has a strong grip on how we strategize our life and how our life could turn out to be. Because all the life strategies that we would lay in our life, to achieve what we want to achieve in the future, is much affected by how we see ourselves now. Allow me to share a personal example that is not too personal, that I guess it could be shared publicly, because I have processed this very well and I've taken it very, very well. When I was 17, I was in a boarding school. If any of you have ever come across this religious boarding school in Malaysia, it's one of the famous, it's actually, in fact, one of the top religious boarding school in Malaysia, top 10, top 5, College Islam Kelang those days. Now it's Kisas, College Islam Sultan Alam Shah. So I am the alumni. I was there in 1987 and 1988, 16, 17 years old, Form 4 and Form 5. And being a boarding school, especially religious boarding schools where VIPs donated good money every month, we had luxurious meals every day because there is a huge budget allocation that teachers can allocate for our food, and we had 6 meals a day. And because of that, I was this cute, chubby teen. So one day I had fever, and I went home to my parents in Kota Baru, all the way from Kelang. And my father said, "This fever is meant to get you slimmer. You are too fat." So that statement, "This fever is meant to get you slimmer. It's meant to get you lose some weight because you are too fat." So that statement, one simple statement that you are fat or you are too fat, it has been 32 years down the road now, and I still remember. So how strong the statement that my father puts on me, how strong it is on my mind, on the impression that I have on myself. So that day I realized I was fat, which I didn't realize before, and should slim down from that day onwards. Now here's the implication. I became very weight conscious. It started from that day onwards. And that habit carries on till today. Until today, I watch my weight. Until today, I'm very self-image conscious. I am very well prepared when it comes to, especially my appearance. And I would be less happy with myself when I feel that I gain weight, or when I feel I'm not so tidy, not so presentable, for example. So but processing this healthily, thank God, because in psychology I learned coping, and I see this as a vehicle for me to sustain healthy and fit living. So it's about impact of my father's words on me about my body, about my self-image, and how I process it and turn it into the advantage. So one is about the impact of words, another is about how the receiver, the recipient of those words process it. Okay, another example is on what we do, our doings. What we do, actions we take have impact on our confidence. And confidence breeds loads of achievements. What we do to others have compounding effect on them, what they believe, how they believe in themselves, and their sense of achievement. Now, take for example when a father rapes his child. The child experiences pain and fear, and pain in the form of self-hatred, for example, feeling useless. And what comes out when these feelings of uselessness is not healthily processed and dealt with? Someone who doesn't feel like living, yeah, who doesn't feel like living, who might take suicide, or who might just not have this appetite to live big, who might just not have appetite to do the best in her life. Now, what if the pain comes in the form of fear to trust other people, to trust another human beings, fear to trust any man or anyone, because, hey, look, my father, who is my soul, where I come from, did that to me. So why should I trust others? So imagine the compounding effects. It could be a woman who's scared of building a relationship, scared of launching a family. And imagine the bigger impact out of this, a society that has more people who have fear against building a family. So life, whatever we do, whatever we say, may have compounding effects, not just on us, but on other people who feels or who thinks that whatever we say to them is strong, is influential, especially people who are close to us, especially people that we have influence upon. So now, having recognized the three features of life, that life is a continuity, life is all about multiplication, life is all about, what is another one? Uh, Compounding effects. So having recognized these three features, how could we use it to live big? So live big is about living, thinking the impact that we can make beyond ourselves. It's about charting our life, designing our life with the purpose, with the end in mind, with the purpose in mind, living in a way less self-centered, living with the intention that whatever good impact that is going to breed from whatever we do is going to reach as many people possible. And the goodness from that, we will reap it. We will reap it. We will enjoy it. It will benefit us back. It will come back to us abundantly, even when we are no longer here anymore, even when we already pass on to the other world, to the next world. So whatever we think, whatever we decide, whatever we see, whatever we do, leave impacts, and those impact double, triple, quadruple, multiply. It doesn't just happen one. The effect is not just one, the effect may be more. So let us give examples of those who have lived big. Let me cite an example in the business world, Tony Fernandez and the AirAsia concepts. I've been analyzing AirAsia concepts in terms of the consumer segment or the customer segment. The AirAsia's customer segment is all walks of life, from B40 to N40 to T20. And I found it so amazing because it has changed the life of the people who, of all spectrum, from B40 to T20. Safely to say all Malaysians, all Asians in fact, benefit from AirAsia. And 80% of people, especially those who came, 40% who came from B40, and another 40%, some 40% who come from M40, who are not able to fly before could fly. And we know that what that means. When people can fly, people have more opportunities, because when we can fly further and further, we have opportunities for more career ventures, for more business ventures. We could meet more people, we could build more families, we could build relationship, friendship with people outside the country, people who are living far from us. And that means more and more loads of opportunities. Let me give another example from community work, the world of the altruism. In psychology, we call it altruism, meaning to say just giving and giving without expecting profits. For example, Sir Albert Liu, that we all know in Malaysia, is his idea of community shops that serve goods at much lower price than average. It benefits so many B40s, definitely M40s and 20s. They could afford more. They definitely, it is more affordable for them. But I'm talking about B40s who are normally having difficulties in exercising choices in purchasing and shopping because of the limited choice that they have. Now, another example, the Nobel Prize winner Muhammad Yunus, he built a whole new non-capitalist microcredit system in Bangladesh that has worked on so many B40 entrepreneurs. And imagine the kind of entrepreneurs, how many volume of entrepreneurs that he has helped to build via this non-capitalist microcredit system that is so affordable to the small-scale businessmen. It's huge impact. So people who live big, they have one thing in common. What do these people who live big have in common? They are able to do so because they are aware. They are aware of how they think, how their thinking, their feeling, their behavior could impact others. And they are specifically very clear about their purpose, about their big mission, about their big vision. And they pick one forte. They realize what is so strong about themselves, the potential, their forte, we call it their best potential. They pick one best potential where they could do best, and they focus on it. Strategize it into a big mission that benefits or add values into other people's life. And the more people they reach, the more the impact becomes. And this is how their legacy work, and how the goods out of it gets bigger and bigger, even what they or these founders are no longer in this world. So we are talking about focus. We have so many fortes, so many potentials inside us. But the key is always we are all good at something. There is something that we're best at. And that is the key to our focus. And if we know how to mobilize this focus that we have, mobilize this best strength that we have, we could turn it into big legacy. And all we need to do next is basically learn how to strategize in order to make it a big mission that adds values in many people. Now, and this takes us to point number 5, that life is a choice. Now we know that we have so many opportunities due to this generosity of the Creator. We have so many opportunities around us, in front of us. So which one should we pick? It's all about life is a choice. There is a concept of a choice. We are all the most intelligent creation of earth, and therefore we are gifted with many choices. We can choose what to do. We can choose what to do every day, what to wear, what to eat, which career to pick, what to do when we are confronted with issues, with problems, with challenges, how to chart our life, which areas of life we want to focus on, which thoughts do we want to focus on, which thoughts do we want to grow. It's all about choices. But together with this power to choose, or power of choice, there is this concept of accountability. This is what is taught in religion. And in psychology, we say we are also given conscience or conscientiousness, which is our standing principles of moral and values. We all have this, our own sets of moral and values, however objective or subjective. And this is called conscience or conscientiousness. And this takes us how to start living big. So how to live big? Now, knowing the fact or recognizing the fact that living big is basically living beyond ourselves, living beyond our family, living life, strategizing projects, strategizing focus of life that we know the impact could reach as many people possible. To be able to make it big, we have to start by growing our inner self. Because we grow from inside to outside, not from outside to inside. What do we grow? Recognizing the bigger purpose, uncovering our talents, checking on our way of thinking, adopting a more useful way of thinking, adopting a more useful self-concept, or how the way we look at ourselves or perception towards ourselves, having a more inspiring self-esteem or self-image, healthy coping skills, adopting a healthier way of managing conflicts, and knowing how to do more useful and strategic actions. So it's all about growth from inside to outside. For the impact outside us to be big, the inner work has to be big. The biggest war, it is not about the war between us and other people. The biggest war is always the war with ourselves. The war in ourselves, the war within ourselves, the struggle within ourselves, our struggle with our own purpose, our struggle with our own belief about ourselves, our struggle with the way we think, our struggle with how we process challenges, our struggle with the way we process pain and problems. That is the biggest struggle. Our struggle with morality when we have conflicts of interest, that is the biggest challenge ever. So let me give you an example. So to be a big impact business coach, for example, that assists many entrepreneurs to be more successful, one needs self-confidence. And self-confidence, my dear friends, it comes from mastery of skills. So a coach must master the mindset and the skills required to be a coach. And when he or she masters the skills, automatically confidence comes. So the impacts on the outside starts from the inside. Another example, to be a psychologist, it has to start with personal mastery, coping skills, growing, tough resilience, healthy, inspiring mindset, inspiring thinking, and inspiring personality. Otherwise, it is not easy to even conduct a therapy session. So if we have storms inside ourselves, so much storm, so much chaos inside ourselves, and it is not resolved, it is difficult to give peace to other people. It is difficult to service other people in the therapy session, because it is difficult to give out peace to others when we don't have the peace inside. We cannot give out what we don't have. We just cannot give out what we don't have. Another example, to build Fortune 500 companies, for example, a business founder, a company founder has to start thinking big. He needs to have big vision as to where he or she wants to take his or her business to. If the mind of the founder is not that big, then the company that he or she builds won't be likely to be big. So growth outside us, it comes or it starts from growth inside us. For the impact outside us to be big, the inner work has to be big. So here's the homework, and here's the finale. It's already 6:15, 6:17. The moment we recognize that our outer fate, our outer legacy change according to our inner process and inner growth, we will stop focusing on evaluating other people's behavior. We will start focusing instead on our own internal growth. Internal growth. Now, time for reflection. What is it that we want to leave as legacy in this world? See, if we are going to die next year, what is it that we want to leave as legacy that we want to work now? Now, what is it inside us that we can change in order to do that? Probably the way we think, the way we speak, the language we use, the way we believe in ourselves, the kind of habits that we want to stop, the new habits that we want to inculcate, or new habits that we want to start, new strategies that we want to launch. So whatever changes that we want to make in our life, it has to start from within. And that's what people who live big do. They start by paying very careful attention to how they think, how do they cope with emotions, and how they strategize their actions. So changes outside start from changes inside, because we can only give what we have inside us. We cannot give what we don't have. Okay, hi Hannah, thank you so much. Yeah, so sorry to keep you waiting. The internet was really not so so good today. Hi Nurul, Faizura, thank you so much. Ruzilayati, as usual, thank you. Good evening. Shamimi Fatia, wa alaikumussalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Zira, hi, thank you Zira. Good evening. Kak Sharifah Nur Alami, wa alaikumussalam. So, okay, thank you so much. You're always free to view this recording. I'll make sure it's here on the wall. It will not be deleted, and you can always view it whenever you are free. And you can always comment, write your opinions, or even you can ask questions by writing in the comment. Okay, so it's already almost 6:30 in Kuching, and I need to rush home because it's time for another prayer. So thank you so much again for tuning in, and see you guys again tomorrow for the Malay version of another episode. Bye.